Welcome back, everyone. In this section, let's talk about burning the Raspberry Pi image which we downloaded in the previous section into micro SD card. Before I show you the steps, I want to just talk to you about the different kinds of SD cards which are available there. So some of you might have a computer which has the option for inserting the SD card like this. That's great. Okay, it's if you have that option, it's awesome. You can use it. If not, if you are on a Mac or some other machine, you may not have the luxury of having a SD micro SD card or SD card slot. Feel free to buy a USB based an adapter for SD card or a micro SD card. Okay, and also please make sure that if you are using an SD card, there is an option to lock it or unlock it. Okay, so this is basically unlocked setup and this is basically a locked setup. What do you mean by locked is if you set this to lock position and you insert your micro SD card here, you won't be able to write anything to the micro SD card. It's like only read only option. Okay, so please make sure that if you are using an SD card, use this option wherein you keep it unlocked, like this one. This is the right way to do it. And if you are using an USB drive, also make sure that you keep it in unlocked position if you are using SD card. But if you're using a micro SD card, you don't need to go through that pain. So you can just directly insert into the micro SD card option here, and you can just connect this to your laptop, and that should take care of it. Okay, cool. So let's get back to our image burning software. So here is my Windows Explorer. I'm just going to insert the micro SD card into my computer. I just want you to see that it pops up in my machine here. Let's give it a minute. Okay, great. So as you can see, this is the USB drive with volume name is the one which I'm using for SD drive. So mine is actually 32 GB space. So it usually shows up 29.7. That's fine. So if when you click on it, you make sure that there's no content into it. Okay. And also, if possible, feel free to format it. Okay, that will help you a lot. So I'll just quickly format it. Perfect. This is done. And here I want to briefly talk to you about few roadblocks you might experience when you're trying to see the space available with micro SD card. So what actually happens is when you insert your micro SD card to your computer, instead of 29 GB space, you might see sometimes just 2 GB. Okay, and sometimes it might just show 5 GB. So the bottom line is you might see space which is much lesser than the actual capacity of the disk. So under such situation, feel free to refer to this particular website and it tells you how to restore the space. And my favorite method is basically to go with this option, that's a disk part. Okay, this part. Okay, yeah, this is the option which I usually choose, and this disk part comes by default inbuilt with the Windows, so you should be able to use it. So that should help you recover all the space of the micro SD card. With that said, let's go back to our image writer. So as I showed you before, you just need to go to the location where you downloaded your Raspberry Pi image. So in my case is this one. So just select the IMG format, and here be very careful here. Okay, this is where you need to select your disk. Okay, so when you link to this image here, just make sure you carefully select the disk here, because if you select the wrong disk, then it's going to format that particular disk. So in my case, I have specified the SD card on the volume F. So basically when you insert your SD card, volume F shows up. So I select that volume F. So if to reconfirm, you can always go back to the Explorer and check to make sure the volume name is actually F. Okay, that's good. So it is volume, and since we are actually writing the image to the SD card, we have to choose write. Okay, so read is basically to get the backup of the image, so we can discuss later on if we need to. But since we are trying to r- write the image to the micro SD card, we can click on write, and it gives a warning. Just say yes, and this might take a while, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so mine just completed the writing, so it almost took 8 minutes for me, and I believe on an average it takes the same time. Cool. So now that we have the image, in the next section, let's talk about how we can configure this image so that we can connect through the headless option, which I discussed in one of the previous section.